Hello and welcome to Data Management, Module 2, Part 4. In this segment of Module 2, we're going to take a look at the limit function, which allows you to limit the number of records which are displayed in your results. We're going to examine the possibility or potential for mismatches in your data when you're entering data into a database, how to update or delete records within your table. We're also going to have a few more notes on calculations that you'll need for your first graded assignment, how to use the regular expression for matching data, and then finally how to use the distinct command. Let's take a look at the use of limit. Here's a query, SQL query, that's saying let's select all the attributes from the share table and then order them by share PE. Now recall, the default when we use order by is in ascending order. So if we just stop there, what this query would give us would be a listing of all of the attributes or all of the shares, and they would be in ascending order by share PE. So the smallest share PE would be listed first. By adding the limit 1, what we're saying is we only want to see the first one. In reality, that would be the same as using the min function to find the minimum share PE, or the share with this minimum share PE. So let's take a look at this one. We've got a subquery where we say select share firm from share, order by share PE, limit 1. This is almost identical to the one we have in the previous slide. Difference being, instead of selecting all the attributes, we're just selecting the share firm. So what do you think? Would this work? Well, the answer is no, it won't. As it turns out, MySQL is not currently able to handle this kind of query. If I was to try and run this query, when you're welcome to do so, you can copy and paste it into MySQL Workbench. You'll find that you'll get an error message saying this version of MySQL is not able to handle this. Let's take a look at the second query here. In this one, we're saying select min share PE from share. Well, what that's going to do is give us the minimum share PE, which it turns out is a 3 for Burmese elephant. It's going to take that number, that single response, that 3, plug it into this part of the query. Select star from share where share PE equals 3. And then it's going to display this result, shown as a screenshot from MySQL Workbench. Okay, in terms of data mismatches, let's assume we're trying to insert information about a new share. If you recall, share code, which is our primary key, was defined as being 4 characters in length. And now if I have insert into share and I put this as the value for share code, well, this is 8 characters instead of 4. When I run this, it's going to allow me to do it, but it's going to give me an error message. Right? It's going to say, one warning, data truncated for column share code. And sure enough, if I print out this record that has been added, you'll see that it has big, but it doesn't have this part, the remaining part. So keep in mind that if you try to add data that is incorrect in terms of size, you'll probably get a warning. If it's incorrect in terms of the type of data, numeric versus character, you'll probably get an error message and it'll refuse to enter it for you. Okay, let's say we want to change the share price of Fredonia copper. The way we do that is using the update command, which goes along with the set command. So it's update share, we set share price equal to 3150, and then we have to specify which one. In this case, we're using share code equal to FC. Similarly, let's say we wanted to change the number of shares that are outstanding for Nigerian geese. Once again, we can use the update command. So update share, we're going to set share quantity to equal share quantity times 1.1, where share firm equals Nigerian geese. Okay, let's assume we want to delete a record from the table. We can use the delete command and basically say delete from share where share firm equals Macy's Inc. Or we could use share code if we wanted to make sure that we were using our unique identifier. We're not going to focus on updating and deleting in this course. Typically, those functions are handled by programs that have been written specifically for handling that, or by database administrators. There's typically no easy way to undo updates and deletes. In this course, we're going to focus primarily on the query function rather than updating and delete. Okay, in terms of calculation notes, you need to recognize that null is not the same as 0. The example shown on this slide comes from the table that you'll be using for your first graded assignment. So if you haven't looked at that one yet, it has information about countries. The name of the country, the languages spoken in that country, the landmass, and so on. Now, one of the fields or attributes in this table is for showing the surface amount of water which is in the country. Now you notice that in some of these, Afghanistan for example, the value for water is null. That either means that there's no surface landmass worth measuring, or that that information has not been captured in this particular table. So rather than putting it at 0, they put in the value of null, basically saying we don't know or we haven't recorded what that value is. If I try to add land plus water together to get the total land mass, you can see what happens. You can see what happens. Since this value is null, when I try to add the land value of 65, 22, 30 with the null value, I end up with a total land value of null. If this was a 0, I could add them together, but since it's null, I can't. So you have to keep that in mind if you're trying to do calculations on records that have null values. Also, if you want to add two values together or calculate an average of two values within a specific record or row, you can't use the aggregate functions. So having sum land plus water is not the same as using land plus water, and I'll explain that. So if we have select sum land plus water from countries, again this is the name of the table that you'll be creating, it gives us a single value. What does this single value represent? Well, basically it represents the total land value for all of the countries that are included in the database, where land values is the sum of land plus water. Now, if we're just interested in the sum of land plus water for each country, this isn't going to give it for us. Instead, we would have to select the country name and then land plus water without using the sum function. When I run this query, what I get is country name and then land plus water. And you can see that this is what we're asking for, which is the total land mass plus whatever water mass we've got listed for that country. A regular expression or reg expression is similar to saying where the query contains text like something. So let's assume we want to find all the firms that contain the word gold in their name. I can use select star from share, where share firm reg express gold. And again, we have to use single quotes around gold because the share firm was defined initially as being character value. And you can see that when we do this, it finds Sri Lankan gold, which is what we were hoping for. In addition, when we're using the reg expression function, we can use the alternation symbol. And the alternation symbol allows us to basically shorten a query by saying we want to find A or B. In this case, let's say we want to list all the firms containing lead or gold in their name. So here we have select star from share, where share firm Reg Express, lead, alternation, gold. And as we run that query, you can see we find both Sri Lankan gold and Indian lead and zinc. One tip about using the alternation symbol is be careful about leaving spaces around the symbol. You may not want those. It may not give you the result that you're looking for if you include them. Okay, then finally, if we have a situation where you've got duplicate results being displayed and you don't want those duplicate results, you can use the distinct command. So in this case, we're showing the share dividend, and we can see we've got 2 that are 0 and 2 that are 250. And let's say we're only interested in showing all the distinct ones or different ones. We can use the distinct share div command, and that'll display it for us. So for example, maybe we want to find the number of different PE ratios. So let's take a look at every share within our table, within our database. Find out how many of them have a different PE ratio. So in this case, I could use select count distinct share PE as different PE. So again, we're going to give our new column a different name from our share table, and you can see the result is 8. So it's saying that there are 8 shares within our table that have different PEs. Okay, you have to be careful when you use distinct. Sometimes you may end up dropping data that you didn't really want to. And that is the end of Data Management, Module 2, Part 4.